Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, December 10th, and it's Fed Wednesday. It's a Fed day. So we're going to get the Fed announcement coming out at 2 o'clock. Probably a quarter point rate cut is what they expect. And then we'll see what Powell has to say, if he's going to mess things up or throw cold water on everything. We'll find out, but that's a big piece of information for today. We have more news coming out today as well. We got the mortgage apps at 7. That was actually to the upside. It was pretty good. Employment cost index at 8:30. We have wholesale inventories at 10. Order report at 10:30. So that's kind of, and then we get the Fed announcement at 2, the press conference, and that's going to be the big item for today. So yesterday's trading was pretty miserable, sloppy, sideways, choppy. Uh, Difficult trading. The best you can do a day like that is fade the edges and go for smaller trades, because you're not going to get bigger trades out of it. This is going to be small moves and then reversals and then so on and so forth. So that was basically the story yesterday. A pretty sloppy, choppy day. And bond market set up nice. I had a couple of bond trades there. I missed my first one, but the second one turned out good. And so I'm watching that one too. Bond market is heading lower, so even in fact, even if in the light of a potential quarter point rate cut, it looks like the long-term yields are still heading higher. The prices on the bonds are heading lower. But this is what we're looking at right now. I'm going to fold these two together, and they're pretty much coming together now. So look at that. So there we have it. So our F1 right now is telling us we have an attractor area around about 68.40. That's your midpoint there, and that's where they're building value. A little bit below this, so the attractor we had on the upside, the 68.80-85 here, is an upper level right now in this distribution. Lower level is right here at the 6800. So there you have it. So now they're really settled in there. So they could not really bust through that 68.80 attractor and take it higher. And we're right. We are backed off, and that's kind of building value here. So today could be a day that either this whole thing takes off to the downside if the Fed disappoints, or we may see a start of a Christmas rally, Santa rally. I think a lot of the other selling pressure, because if you notice the market, you see a steady amount of, you see a little bit of grinding in the overnight, and you see at least once during the pretty good sell-off, and then I'm thinking that's mostly related to this taxation selling. When you have going in December, you get all these bigger institutions taking losses. I mean, if you have stocks which are in the negative for you, you can take those losses that year and then just realize the loss and take it, and then buy back those stocks or other stocks later on. But that is kind of the what I'm thinking is part of that relentless selling we're seeing. So the market's trying to trade higher, but it gets knocked down, and it's kind of it starts climbing against, it gets knocked down. That's going to subside a bit getting into the later part of December, but I think that's part of what's going on as well. So overall, we're going to start off flat at range bound. We're waiting for the Fed announcement. I don't think the news ahead of that, the employment cost, the wholesale inventory is going to do much. So we're going to look to sell strength, buy weakness fairly equally. So I'm looking to sell strength all the way up here to that 68.90 resistance area. We're going to buy weakness down to that 6800, and then maybe the 67.95. So rotations back up. So now here we have the range. Now you can give yourself an inner range. On the ES, probably the 68, 60s, and the 70s for rotations down, and then look to buy against 40s, 30s, maybe down to the 20s for the initially. And if it starts trading outside of that range, maybe a little bit more aggressive on a direction, or maybe look for a direction at that point. But technically, we are still in a range. So, I mean, unless they start taking out that 68, 80, and 90, these two areas of resistance on the upside, or they start taking out the 6800, 68, 67, 95 on the downside, you're pretty much staying in a range. Even though the trading may feel very directional for a while, if you get the relentless amount of selling for a bit and they run it down 3-4 levels down, it's going to feel very much like the market is selling off. It is, but it's not. It's still within the range of the overall distribution. So that's why this F1 is super critical to get some perspective. You're looking for perspective so that when the market starts taking off and you're looking at it and it's like, oh crap, I hop on the short side and you're selling right into support. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to take a step back and look for the buying opportunity when you get there. Doesn't mean that you have to step in front of it. No need to do that. If you look for a setup and a trigger, market stall, you can try a trade. But the good part with fading edges back to the mean like that is you can get in with pretty good trade location. You don't have to risk a lot of money. If you're wrong, you just get out of it pretty quickly. If you're looking to sell a pullback on the short trade, that's a little bit gnarlier because you never know how far they want to drive that on the upside. So again, you had to keep your stops tight. And I can show you what I'm doing right now. I'm tightening up my stops quite a bit. So that is the ES, range bound trading, looking to sell strength against 6860s, 6870s, 80s, up to the 90s, rotations down. I'm going to buy weakness, 6840s, where we're trading now, but 6830, 35s, 6820s, 6810s, 6800, 68, 6795, 92, 93 here. Let's just say 95. So below these two support areas, we are heading lower. That would be a bad day. If they start taking out the 6890, start challenging that 6900, I would be on the long side thinking that we may have a shot at taking this all the way up here to test the 6950s or higher. So that's where we go. Get started that way. And I think given yesterday, I'm thinking we may see more of the same going into the trading day until we get to that 2 o'clock hour, and then we'll get some action. So that's the ES on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has been also pretty sloppy. Like so. And NASDAQ is, if I fold these together, you see that we have a little wider range on the NASDAQ, and we've got some area here in the bottom below it in the 400s needs to be building value. Not quite ready to do this one just yet. NASDAQ has a little bit more spread to it. So you can see that first little distribution is move out of the middle from the 300, 25 300s. I'm really looking for this distribution right here, this between the 25, 470 or 3, or yeah, 20, around about 24, 3 to 400s up to the 25. So 25, come on. So 25, 4 to 3, 4 to 500. Too many numbers. And up to this 25, 800 level. And I'm thinking that is the range we are going to be looking for, at least to get started. And then if they start to blow and taking out that 3-letter edge here at the 480s, I would be more inclined to look for a test down here at the 25, 350 to 360s. If they start taking out that 800, 850s, I think we may have a shot at taking this higher. On the way down here, we have two areas to pay attention to. One is this the 480s, 450 to 480s, and then the 340 to 360s, and that volume edge right there. If this whole congestion area comes out, then we are in a little bit more trouble. That would be a bad one. Then we can potentially head lower. That could certainly happen today, given the Fed's announcement, or we could see them blow through the highs. It would be a pretty good day. So, but I'm thinking we're going to get more of the same slop going into today's trading until we get past the number, and I'm still holding out for the little Santa rally. Still holding out for it. All right, so initially looking to sell strength against the 740s, the 820s, 870s for rotations down. Looking to buy weakness 25, 600. Well, first one is 630, 600, 560, 530, down to the 480s. Again, below the 480s, we may have a little of a move to the downside, but until they take out that lower volume edge at the 340 to 350s here, I'm not going to be super aggressive on the, well, I'll be aggressive on the short side if they take out the 480s, but I'm still looking to buy for buying opportunities against the 420s down here in the 340 to 350s. So that's the way to look at it, right? So if they start taking out some support, some some support areas. You can start looking for a short trade. I think it's safe to say below that 480s, definitely we've got something going on, and you want to definitely be on the short side on that one. Still looking to buy against the 430s and that 340 to 350s. And if they take out these lower areas, this volume edge again, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So that's the NASDAQ for us to get started. Fairly straightforward. Expecting more of that slop and chop until we get past the 2 o'clock hour today. And then finally, bonds. Yeah, they're a bit concerning on that guy. So yeah, looking at the bond market, heading lower. So bond market heading lower. They're heading down towards that 114 attractor area. And they've been down here for, they finally took out that 116 edge, and they've been holding below it. And we were up here reverse retesting the 22, 23, not really making a challenge at the 116 yet. But we are in the low volume move to the downside. And I would just trade it from the short side of the market to get started. No reason to do anything else right now. It is not, it's like falling apart on us, but it is slowly repricing itself. So this could change dramatically also after the Fed announcement, depending on what he's saying. And I think a part of that has to do with the balance sheet, how they're going to handle the balance sheet, if that's going to be an issue or not. And if they're going to do quantitative easing, or they're going to start doing some tightening, or what they're going to do there. I heard a few comments on that on the news, and so that's why I'm picking up on it. So the quarter point is kind of what's expected, and they're going to be a reaction in the bond market for sure. But I would look to sell strength to get started. Look to sell against this area, the 1503s, 2 to 3s, 11510s, 11520s up to that 23 again. If they take out this 23 level right now, if they start taking that out today, I would be shifting back to the long side and see how far they want to retrace this to the upside. But that's kind of the dynamic. Buying weakness against the 114.28 is on one. These are levels we haven't had since before. Not going to be super aggressive on those, but down here, the 114.08 down to the 114, these two support areas probably are going to be where we hit the attractor. So I would be more aggressive on the buy side if we get that far. As you can tell, you probably want to be on the short side as if they start moving this lower. So looking for short setups or rotations down to get started. The only buying opportunity I'm looking at is against that 14.28. It's like 27 to 29, but if that area holds, we may still stick in the range. Probably going into that 2 o'clock hour as well. All right, back to the ES and oil and gold real quick while I got it. Here's your gold. It's still at 42.20. It looks like they pretty much settled in. You can see the last few days of trading on gold. I mean, not much going on that guy. So it's been pretty much just sideways action, slopping around on gold. And oil, same story there. Not much happening on these guys. You can see oil is just doing its usual thing. I've taken out the support resistance areas I have on it, but I'm not really tracking it that carefully at this point, But anyway, so that's oil and gold. They're kind of doing what they usually do. Nothing much exciting going on there. But anyway, so starting off the ES and NASDAQ, starting off range bound. Expect the slop and chop to continue until we get to that 2 o'clock hour. And after that, we may have a shot at some action. And we'll see if the market starts moving it, or we get some nice trending opportunities. But it could be also a pretty sloppy day. So you had to watch for the big reaction. And if you don't get a big reaction, then look for slop. But you can see pretty wild swing as well going on there. So we will touch on that in the next updates as well. So we'll see you guys back at 11:30. So good trading. And I'll see you guys back then.